Hey everybody, Dive Girl Deb, and I just blocked up the entrance to this hive. Why would I do that? And I put a little configuration there that's different, just to do the same. Alright, so I just brought back a hive last night, and I have them set up here on the end. They're doing orientation flights today, trying to figure out where they live now that they've been moved. And this little colony, I wasn't sure if it was living or not, but they're bringing in a good bit of pollen, so I'm going to look at it. And this one and that one are queens that were purchased, and this is a swarm, and that's a swarm. So today what I'm going to do is everybody's going to get fed for winter. Well, to kind of prepare them for winter, we'll say. I have made up some pollen patties. I usually use wax paper, but I'm going to do plastic this season. And I think what I'm going to do is these bigger, thicker bags, I'm going to put in between my colonies, because remember, you have bee space above these frames of 3/8 of an inch, and you have bee space at the bottom of this frame of 3/8 of an inch. So you got a pretty big gap here. And what we know, what happens a lot in the Northwest, is that the bees, if their central area is here, they don't often want to cross up that wide bridge in order to get feed in here. So I kind of think having a fat patty here helps quite a bit, because number one, I'm going to give it to them early in the season now so they can move it in the hive where they want it, which I think is really important. That's why syrup feeding this time of year is critical, that you continue to pour on the syrup as long as they'll take it, because they're going to put it in their cells where they can reach it. And if it's out of reach, they will starve out and die. So you can see I got buckets along the floor here. I got a sugar delivery on Thursday with my groceries, so these are only half full, but it's good for them to get them started. This is my pollen substitute that I've been mixing up, and you might wonder why it's laid up here, because I want it to warm up. So I've had this out at room temperature this morning, and so it's already like 70 degrees, but this top is in the 90s. And the inside of the colony is our body temperature. So I don't want to put an ice cube in the colony. So I'm just going to let these sit up here. They're sealed. Nobody can smell them really or taste them. And I did a mite count on this colony, and I got 6 mites in 10 hours. So I'm really concerned about this colony. I am going to do another treatment on them now and try to get in front of that. But I hope that the brood cells that we need to get through winter don't have varroa in them right now. But I guess the only thing I can do is just start treating at this moment and feed the crap out of them. So I like to mix my own pollen substitute because you can control what you put in it, including your essential oils, the sugar content, and whatever additives you want, and then your pollen substitute. This is the Mann Lake Ultra Bee, and you can buy it in a powder, and then you mix it up a little bit as you need to. It's a really convenient way to go. And then you buy your sugar locally, which for me is a better deal. So, and then when I lay this on the colony, what I'm going to do is I will probably put a slit, because you want the bees in these cells in this range to have access to feed all along here, which I guess is so if you go like 1, 2, like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So the 8, 9, and 10, and 3, 4, 5 would be your best bet for feed locations. And then give them space to crawl around that. So that really, I'll probably put 2 of these in this colony, one at this level, and then one up higher at the top. And then this candy board, I'm fixing to pour candy on very soon, next week. And this will have a good 25 pounds of sugar in the surface here. And then you can start moving that around. But until then, we're going to feed syrup. So I'll do one on opposite corners on each level, and then come up and do one on the opposite corner. So that's the basic positioning that I'm going to do. Probably going to move some of these around a little bit and balance out the feed a little bit. So let's look and see what a great little day this is. I mean, it's 72 degrees and sunny, right? So let's see why I put the stick in. Okay, because I want you to see how much pollen these bees are bringing in right now. You see all that? That's awesome. A lot of great pollen. It's kind of a good way to test your queen in a sense, to see if she's producing, because if your colonies bring in pollen in like this, then they're probably, getting ready for winter. And yeah, and all of a sudden everybody knows where the door is. They're going to run in there and hoard it. That's a good stash of pollen coming in. All right, so that's a good way to check your bees and see what they're bringing in, what their quantities are. Lock them up for a minute. There's that hive I brought over yesterday. They don't know their way around yet. Can't imagine they're going to bring in a lot of pollen until they figure it out. Which is why I'm going to feed them. First day on the job, girls. I know, it's tough, huh? Everything's new. And look. Take a peek out here. What's up, kids? Alright. So, it's going to get ugly weather from here going forward. So, this is the last time that I'm going to open these hives until it gets warm again, probably next season. So, right now is the last look. I'm not going to move any frames around because I'm going to let the bees decide where they want their stores at the end of the day. And yeah, I think, I'm just going to lift those boxes, tilt them back, put some pollen sub on it. I'm going to strike it with my hive tool, put a little slit in it so that I know they can start a feeding channel. And I'll do that right over those frames that I want to feed. And then I'm also going to strike one towards the middle of the colony, because I think that, if they need to come right up and feed, they can do that. Plus, when I put the boxes together, I could have some like ooze out and some smush, and I'm okay if it goes into those directions. And that'll be instant feed that they can have right now to go today. And that'll give them something to do in the next couple of days, next week really, because it's going to be nasty weather. So, last good chance. I probably will do a little bit of syrup going forward, but today's syrup is twice as thick as a spring syrup right now, because I don't want to have them to try to dry it out when we have higher humidity upcoming and higher cold upcoming. And it's almost getting too cold during the day for them to dry syrup. So you really want to give them less water in your syrup mix at this time of year. Well, they sure look happy coming out today. The other thing I will do is you can see that this colony here has a pretty wide gap in its opening, and I will move that and over to the small setting so that they're all consistent, a small gap, and that way I don't have robbing problems. I haven't really had any robbing problems this year because in August I closed up my entrances really tight, shut down the upper entrances and said, nope, we're not doing this. If I'm feeding, upper entrances not an option. My ventilation boxes, you can see that I've taken those off right now because I'm just going to let them warm up a little bit and use that heat to kind of dry out whatever syrup and nectar they've got on board to help them consolidate that winter nest a little bit. So pollen stubs are nice and warm. They should be at least in the 80-degree range. At least they're not going to be from a refrigerator cold in the 30s and 40s, into the frames. I want to give them as much heat internally, because if you rob heat from them, then you have to give them more energy back to create that heat. So it's kind of like drinking water. You should drink room temperature water, not ice water, because your body has to heat ice water before it can absorb it. Well, the bees work the same way. I have quite a bit of, probably twice the amount of salt in my syrup right now also to help them as a drying agent. They'll find a way to move that around in the colonies they need to. Alright, so it's time to feed. I'm not going to videotape when I've got the colonies open. I don't want to manage all of that because I just want to take my time, relax, and go through them. I really enjoy beekeeping when I can just relax and take my time and putter. It just is a lot of fun for me. So, I'm going to put you guys on pause. Maybe come back. Time Girl Deb. Beautiful fall day for the girls. Alright, so treatment on the ground. We're going to pick it up later. Old mesh coming out. Here I got the bags laid out, and I put some slits in it. And you can see the girls, man, they're going to come drink it up. They love this mixture. Yummy. It's warm. They're going to move that around when they want it to. Got some bags underneath here. And so now it's kind of time to close them up and give them some privacy to do their work. Yeah. And then I'll put a bucket of syrup on top. But for now, these little blocks of plywood work really great. Helps calm the girls down. But you can see the orientation. And so now the bees, they have this warm weather. They can move resources around the colony, which is very important. So, got 4 bags left for this one because I got one up there. And, yeah. So I'm pulling candy boards so I can get them filled, and I can't seem to find all of my inner covers. So I got an inner cover here. This one is going to end up probably going to do 2 pours, looks like. So I can't find another inner cover at the moment, but I might just slap a lid on there and call it good for a little while. Just so I could get these candy boards poured, because I need to pour 4 of them, and that's a 5th or 4th. So, yeah. All right. you. I'm a sweaty girl. It's time to go take a shower. Yeah, got that squared away pretty good. I think the bees fared well. No major dramas left over. Yeah. So, pollen patties, pollen patties, pollen patties, pollen patties. This one smushed out, so I'm letting the girls clean it up. So we did a lot of pollen patties, 3 of them here on this top. Pollen patties, and a little one on top. Had some bees trapped up here because that syrup is leaking out, so I'm going to give them a chance to come out. And then, yeah, a little bit of waste on the ground, but not too terrible. You're always going to lose a little bit of product. These screens ended up with quite a lot of propolis on it, so I think I might clean that up and dip those into some can't even think right now. I'm having a little word block. Vodka for a tincture, because there's quite a lot in there. We'll see. It depends what it's touching. If it's touching any of those cubes or close to them, not. But the bees are good. I do need to go and adjust their entrances, and I'll do that before I go in, I think. They look really relaxed, and everybody's getting on just fine. I like, oh, there's some schmutz out the front there. Well, hopefully they'll clean that up. When it gets in contact with air, it kind of turns into cement. So we'll see how that works. But I like having all 4 hives here. It's so much easier to work on them all at one time. And I'm a little alarmed about that one with the mite count. But I put 1.5 packages on them, and I think I'll wait a couple weeks. I'm going to go ahead and hit them again. The thing about right now is you're building the winter nest, and so these are going to be the brood that are going to wait a suspended period of time, like 3 or 4 months before they hatch. So you don't want mites in there, because those mites are replicating as well, and that will wipe out your colonies and promote viruses. So these bees might already have a good bit of virus because their mite count's up. But all I can do right now is treat them, and hopefully, I think my bee friend treated them once too. I know that I treated him once. Not sure he did. He had an illness, and so I just don't know. But they're higher than I want, so that's why I threw some treatment on them. So we'll see. I'll put this on and I'll keep monitoring, and we'll go from there. But 4 colonies here. Hopefully 1 or 2, maybe 3 get through winter, and then rebuild next year. Alright guys, so that was putting pollen sub on the colonies. It's a warm sunny day, probably the last one that we're going to have for a long time. We get these days like right before winter smacks us. So I think this is that window. I'm glad that I took this window to bring that colony home for me to manage at the house, and to get them well fed today, pouring syrup on them. I've got 5 25-pound bags of sugar. That's 125 pounds of sugar coming. So I'll make up 4 candy boards, and I'll keep giving them sugar as long as I can, because the weather's going to cool off. They won't be able to dry it. And well, they're going to cross fingers that we'll get them through. That pollen substitute had a good 20 pounds of sugar in it, so that's going to be a good boost right there. But what's important is that it's warm right now, so they can move that into their cells, add their enzymes from their saliva to preserve it, and make bee bread out of it. And that bee bread is what they're going to feed on all winter and to feed their larvae with. to get fat bees. You want fat bees going into fall. Okay, so fat bees is what we want. So I'm just going to keep feeding the crap out of them as long as they'll take it. And we'll see, hopefully. So, yeah, that's what like getting ready for fall looks like in the Pacific Northwest with your bees. Sometimes it works, other times not so much. We'll find out next spring. Love you guys. Bye-bye.